Hey, this is Ryan Bartley from LA Macabre, and you're listening to the Radio of Horror Show.
This is Dr. Chris's Radio of Horror program here on WCW 91.3 FM. If you're not catching this recorded interview live, hopefully you're going to catch it on the Radio of Horror YouTube channel. Or you can try and find it on Instagram as well, because we can stick up interviews on Instagram, which my guest has just made a post about on Instagram. We have on the show tonight to talk about LA Macabre, which is a cool older show that's now new on Prime. We have Ryan Bartley on the show with us. Thank you for coming on the show with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So this is 8 years old, 7 years old, and now is on Prime?
The first season we shot in 2014, and then it took us a while to get a second season, off the ground, and we kickstarted it, and we're so thankful that people supported us through that process.
Oh.
And then it was such the second season is just the scale is massive compared to the first season, so it took months and months and months to film, edit, get it out to the world. So here we are with our second season is out there now, and we're so proud of it, and it was worth the wait. But yeah, it's been a long time coming.
That's awesome that you got that second season done on Kickstarter. So the second season is not as found footage or shot on camera, that kind of whole Blair Witch experience as much as the first season?
Exactly. Yeah, we get away from that a little bit more in the second season. And you'll see why when you watch it.
What can you tell us about your own experiences with cults in real life?
Ooh.
Have you ever, and now think about the type of show we're doing. We're a late night radio horror show. You are free to bring up anything you want, but you can change the names to protect the innocent.
Right.
Recently, we had somebody on that was invited to join the Allison Mack Smallville actress's sex cult. And I'm like, holy crap. Around that same time we had that person on the show, that's when I got your email from the producers of this and being like, oh, we should totally have this woman on, because I just had a whole interview about that whole sex cult thing with Allison Mack from Smallville.
Well, I don't have a lot of experience, fortunately / unfortunately, with cults, so I can't say too much. I can't speak too much to that in terms of my real life experience. But I will say that when we worked on LA Macabre, the cast, we read Helter Skelter, because the fictitious cult in the LA Macabre world is called the New Family, and it's essentially sort of a Manson-esque updated kind of newer sort of version of that. And so we really took a lot from the Manson vibe and studied that in terms of how cults happen, you know what I mean? And the psychology behind what leads you to that point. And so we did study a lot about Manson during the filming of season 1 and 2. But yeah, in my real life, I have not had any encounters with cults, thank goodness. So I don't have any great stories there, unfortunately, for you.
No, that's fine. That's probably better that you haven't had those experiences, because we
That's
don't
why
want
I said
you
fortunately / unfortunately.
Well, I mean, actresses in Hollywood with cults do not have a good reputation. Sharon Tate.
Yeah, totally.
Did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Revisionist kind of history take, on what could have happened that night, and I was already, by the time that film came out, we had already shot so much of LA Macabre, so I was very much aware of the history behind, where this was going. So that was like a wild twist to kind of watch. But yeah, I did. I like that movie.
Okay, as we're talking, I'm going through your Instagram right now, and the funniest video is on Instagram that everyone has to go to Ryan Bartley and look up. She's holding a Fisher-Price toy that she's apparently the voiceover of.
Yeah. I do toys occasionally.
That's so funny. You're like, I voice this.
That's such a strange thing whenever people ask, like, what is the most kind of unique and unexpected thing that you voice? The Fisher-Price toys, or toys in general, are kind of a thing that people don't think about necessarily as a voiceover job, but those toys that you see in the aisles of the toy of any Target or Walmart or anywhere, those are voice actor jobs. So, and some of them are me. And those are actually, I love doing toys. I always buy a couple of them to give out to any of my friends that are having babies that year. They all get the special the Ryan toys. So it's good fun.
There's so many jokes with that. That's so funny. Um, okay, so this asks another question, which I'm going to relate this to a story I read once that I brought up to the artist. What's the
Uh,
weirdest thing? And then we'll get back to Ellie Macabre. What's the weirdest thing you have either been asked to voice or that your voice has been attached to that you're just like, mom and dad must never learn of this?
there's nothing like really salacious or anything like
Nothing
that.
scandalous.
Yeah. There's, I mean, I do mostly preschool shows and I do Disney Channel promo work. So it's a lot of like, coming up next on Disney Channel, what will happen when, like that kind of thing. So, and most of my work tends to stay in that vein. So I don't know if there's anything really scandalous necessarily, but the unexpected kind of stuff is the toys. I do a lot of live action dubs now. So Netflix is buying a bunch of shows internationally for distribution, and they dub them into many, many languages. And we voice actors, we do the English dubs often. And one of the ones that I'm really proud of that not a lot of people really know about is the show 3%, which is just a fantastic show. And I'm one of the main characters moving into the later seasons of that show. And it's a kind of weirdly popular show. So I like to throw that one up there. It's a Portuguese show, Brazilian show. So if you're into, it's like a dystopian thriller kind of thing. So if you're into that, 3% is a really well written show about a bunch of kids who are trying to compete to get to a special location where they will be like treated better than everyone else and they will not have to live in poverty anymore. And it's not, you can't bring your family, it's not a genetic thing, there's no familial ties. It has to be that you get there on your own intellectual and physical, quote unquote merit. And so every person that wants to try to make it, they call it the offshore, everyone that wants to try and make it to this place has to compete in these like almost Hunger Games-esque kind of tasks. And it's just a really cool show. It's also like a thriller kind of well, I said that already, but it's a mind, it plays with your mind. So if you like that kind of thing and you want to know, if you want to keep guessing and coming up with your own theories and stuff like that, it's a great show for that kind of thing. So that's one of the ones I throw out that people just don't really think about, as a job that voice actors have, or as a show that I've worked on.
A friend of mine is currently living in Japan, despite she got there just in time for the world to come crashing down around our knees.
Oh, wow.
Very excited for it, so it killed any opportunity for her to work in Japan right now,
Hmm.
and kind of stranded on the base that she's at. And she told me that she would love to work in Japanese voice animation because she's done a lot of, she's done like video games here or there and other things. And she said, but knowing everything else about you, you want to also get into like anime, dark adult anime too, right? And she's like, oh god, yeah. They need. I will learn Japanese to, and I will learn. I will do their American voiceovers. So when they ship the hentai over to America, I could totally be like, yeah, that's my voice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's so funny.
Have you ever been asked to do like anything super dark? Because a lot of your anime is kind of, not cutesy. I mean,
Sure.
Neon Genesis Evangelion is definitely not cutesy, but it's definitely
Yeah.
T-rated. It does get adult, but not that adult. But Swordplay, whatever that show is called, which I've never seen before, Sword Art,
Uh-huh.
right?
Sword Art Online.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's also like T-rated. But have you ever dipped into like the dark horror stuff, like L.A. Macabre style anime?
Yeah. There's a show called The Promise Neverland that we dubbed, I think, yeah, it was last year, and a really popular show, one of the more popular anime to come out of the last couple years. And it's a horror. This isn't really a spoiler because this is the premise, and you find out in the first episode. But these children are at this orphanage, and they are being raised to be food for demons,
Mm,
and
yummy.
the story is about them trying to stage an escape,
How would
and
you cook a
betrayals, and
human?
again, betrayals, twists, turns, thrill, who knows what, when, who's lying, who, all that kind of thing. But they're like, they're pretty young. They're like, the youngest is probably like 6 or 7 and the oldest is maybe like 12. So they're kids, but yeah, that's a great show. Really well written. Really, it's called The Promised Neverland. I think it's on Hulu right now. It's the dub is all over. I mean, you can Google it.
Yeah, I
I'm sure
found
you'll
it.
find it. But
Yep,
um,
Gilda.
yeah, so that one's that. Yeah, I play Gilda. And then there's another show called Erased, which is also kind of also a really popular anime from the last few years. Really, that's kind of a in it won't be getting that one won't be getting a second season. Like it has a definitive end, whereas Promise Neverland kind of is a cliffhanger sort of ongoing show that I think is coming back next year. So that's like something I'm currently on. But Erased is over, and still a really great story if you're looking for more of a short-term investment. I think it's only like 12 episodes, and it has that sort of horror thriller. It's about a murder mystery. It's about a kid who, well, he's an adult, and then he wakes up in his own childhood body years and years previous to solve a murder that happened when he was a kid. And he's still thinking as an adult, but he's in a kid's body, and he's seeing these events replay through his childhood self. And that's also a really great one. So if anyone out there is interested in that, Erased,
You,
I think is also on, I think, Hulu right now. But if you can't find it on Hulu, it's streaming for sure somewhere.
you,
They always change them up, so I'm never sure like at any given time like where, you know what I mean, where
you
the
can't
shows are. But I think it's still on Hulu.
you can't escape things involving apparently eating of humans because you were in something
Yeah,
called "I Want to Eat Your Pancreas." So, tell me, what is it like to cook a human? You
right.
can divulge the secrets right now.
I have a whole list. Yeah.
This is
The
how
funny
I
thing,
maintain my youth and beauty.
right? That's my secret.
That's your secret. You're a cannibal. It's totally fine. We're not here to judge. Cannibalism is okay in certain,
Yeah,
as long as it's consensual.
with your audience. Yeah, I'm sure.
As long as it's consensual. I was consensually allowed to eat him
Great. It was all agreed upon.
with L.A. Macabre. So you did
Mhm.
3 seasons of it.
2 seasons. Yeah, there's 2 seasons. The first season has attached to it another kind of little additional content series called the Jamie Vlogs, which my character is Jamie Holbrook. And the Jamie Vlogs sort of show her perspective of what's going on because within the story world, Jamie is the cinematographer. Now, in real life, I did not do the cinematography. Our cinematographer, his name is Austin Smoke, and she's like mind-blowing photographer. I mean, photographer and cinematographer. She's incredible, and she made this look like found footage, look like I was filming it myself when really I was standing behind her, reaching out in front of her to hand things to the other castmates. And we make it look like I'm filming it, but I'm not. And so anyway, as a result of it being sort of found footage situation where my character is the quote unquote cinematographer, I'm not on camera that much, and it was important for the writer and for the audience sake that they get who my character is, and that they care about her, and if you get to the end of season one, you'll see why it's important that you care about her by that point. And so the Jamie vlogs kind of just, and my character is really introverted too, so I think she has a hard time expressing herself, opening up. So the Jamie
You came
vlogs
on my
let
radio
her,
show. I have to care about your character.
right? And so she kind of comes out of her shell in these vlogs and gives her perspective on what's going on, and comes out of, just opens up her heart a little bit, just enough for you to really care when things don't go so well for her at the end of season one. And yeah, but that's technically part of season one. Those are on YouTube currently, and you will understand all of LA Macabre season one and two without watching the Jamie vlogs. They're really just like additional, like I said, additional content to amp up the story world and to make it more three-dimensional and more interactive.
You mentioned earlier when the second season had to be kickstarted. I just completed my own Kickstarter.
Oh yeah.
For a graphic novel.
Oh, very
I
cool.
had been working on it for 4 years with various artists and Snop and Fails and Unreliable Sons of Guns, and we finally got the crap together that we needed.
Oh, that's
Obviously, during the
great.
pandemic or whatever, we figured, what the hell? Why not? Apparently, according
Yeah.
to Kickstarter, this year they have had more successful projects than any other year on Kickstarter.
Oh
And
my
that's probably
gosh.
because the amount of Hollywood content and the sports content and the TV content is just non existent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
totally.
we wanted 2 grand. We raised 12 grand for a
Oh,
graphic novel where
wow.
we take the entire cast of Dracula and gender swap the whole cast.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, congrats. Yeah, that's such an accomplishment.
Thank you.
Jeez.
We're going to be
Yeah, it's
doing
a
a audiobook as well. Obviously, I won't be reading it because we have a gender swap Dracula, so we have a voice actress who will be doing the audiobook too.
so cool. Well, congrats to all your whole team. That's amazing.
Thank you. Um, it'll be out in 2021, and I hope it goes someplace. So anyone listening to
Yeah.
this interview, the rights are. I'm a whore for money, so the rights are totally there if you want to snatch them up.
You never know. Yeah, that's amazing. Congrats. I'm excited to
Um,
see where it goes too.
have you created anything that you own that you have worked on that we may not be aware of?
IP that I've written?
IP you've written that you control
Yeah,
that's yours? Yeah.
that's a great question. I haven't been asked that in a while. Interestingly, I went to USC film school, and my major was actually at the time they call it critical studies. I think they might have renamed that department since, but it's film history, analysis theory, sort of the academia side of writing about cinema and television. And my emphasis was on gender representation, and minority representation. And I had a minor in screenwriting. And I was always an actor. I was an actor before film school and after. And um, if anything, film school sort of shows you how small actors are as a piece of the whole project as a whole, in some ways how little your artistry even matters, because you do kind of see the economic side of it, and you know that these celebrities have like a number attached to their heads when they book a movie or something. They know how much that celebrity is going to bring in Brazil, in anywhere, in Russia, wherever. Like they know like what Angelina Jolie is worth in those countries, and that's part of their budget. That's part of why they make the movie the way they do. So in some ways, you would think, if anything, that would be discouraging for an actor to see how little your creativity really matters sometimes
No, tell
in
me
the
about it.
process of getting a film made. But it didn't. The truth is, this is the only thing for me, period, without a doubt, forever. So it was really clear that I was going to just be an actor, no matter what that meant or looked like. And so I did write a lot in film school, but I'm not pursuing that right now. There's a few little shorts you can find online that my boyfriend and I made. They're like Halloween shorts called Ghosties this, Ghosties
I
favorite
saw
Halloween.
that. Yeah.
They're cute. They're just silly and cute, but it was me trying to cut my teeth in animation work and create voices, and it was a means to an end, you know what I mean? And my boyfriend is a professional writer. So there's always a chance that I would collaborate with stuff, with him on the future. But right now, I'm way too busy. I'm just, I work a lot. So it's not in the cards for me, I don't think, coming up. But thank you for asking. That's like a wonderful, I do
Well,
probably
the reason I'm
want
bringing it
to
up is because
expand into
I
it.
mean, the Vlada thing or whatever, I have to run to the government,
Mhm.
whatchamacallit, IP registry site thing as soon as it's published. I can't apparently do it until the thing's actually published, but I'm like, I
Oh,
want control of this. You know what I mean?
right.
I will whore this out for money, for TV, for video games, whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm going to maintain my IP. And
Your
I
IP
learned
is
this
so
lesson
important.
from like
Yeah.
Kevin Smith. He owns Jay and Silent Bob in the View Askew
Mm-hmm.
universe. He doesn't own his movies though. That's the problem. That's the whole
Interesting.
Harvey Weinstein, blah 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 blah. We're not going to get into it, but you get
Wow.
what I'm
Yeah, I
saying.
didn't know that. I
But
mean, that's like one of the George Lucas is very famous for having
right,
set that precedent, So at USC Film School, they hammer that into us, and the importance of
right.
IP, the
Yeah,
importance of protecting yourself and maintaining your control over that. So yeah, that's a great reminder, though. Like if I ever get back into writing, I will definitely have to keep that in mind. And also, I should say, um, on the IMDb page for LA Macabre, you'll see that I'm listed as a writer, but
yes,
I only contributed to the Jamie vlogs because they're from my character's perspective, and they're sort of loose, almost improv-y, um, kind of little one take vlogs.
yep.
But I did not in any way have anything to do with the writing of the overall arc of the show in the main show, season 1 or 2. That's all Dan asked, and I want to make that really clear because he's a phenomenal writer, and he's right now just sweeping the circuit, the contest and festival circuit with his screenplays. And yeah, that's all him. That's not me.
That's fine. But yeah, I saw that and I'm just kind of curious because I've been
Yeah.
getting so much more into my own creative, my own stuff. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
helping.
Oh no, I was just saying that's such a special thing. I'm really glad that this is, that you have this now.
Definitely. Getting into the best thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because I was going through the list of actors that could come on the show, and I was just like, no, we're gonna go with the girl, the lead. We're gonna go with the girl who's top of the building because she was on Neon Genesis Evangelion, and I'm in love with that show.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Now, the
Um,
question is about the Netflix show is that when it came on Netflix, people kind of either liked it or they really hated it.
sure, yeah. I mean, the thing about
No offense.
yeah, the Netflix dub is full of people that are some of the best working actors in voiceover in history, period. And it's a fantastic dub. I mean, look, it's got, I mean, the cast is so impressive all around. So I think the people that didn't like it are I mean, it's just really clear that they are attached to the voices that they know, and
Hmm.
that's totally fine.
And I was too.
This is not for them. Do you know
I
what I mean? And
before
it's
I heard
also
it,
this is
before I heard it, I was like, absolutely not. And then I heard it, and I was like, okay, this is fine.
yeah, I think it's really an amazing cast. Casey Mongelo is a non-binary actor who is playing the lead, Shinji Ikari. Pretty incredible person all around and great actor, and wonderful that we have them in it. I mean, it's just such an impressive piece, and of course, it was intimidating um, to take on, and I don't, I have no horse in the race one way or another if people prefer the original dub. I think the original
I
dub
love
I
that
haven't.
saying. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I think I from what I've been told, the original dub may have a few more moments of levity in terms of their approach to the text, maybe some of the writing. Ours was a very literal sort of adaptation, and the Japanese team was involved. Um, Probably one of the more involved that I've ever experienced in terms of their input and stuff, and they were really blown away by what we did, and that's kind of all that matters to me is that we honored the show the way that they wanted it done, and we did. So um, there's always people that have their preferences one way or the other in terms of the fandom, and I get that. I mean, I'm on the Inuyasha spinoff right now, so I'm watching Inuyasha, and when you see this cast and you've lived with a cast for so many episodes over years, you do develop an attachment to them, and I get that, and so, but when we made the new dub, we knew this is not for those people. Like, we knew that those people have their version of it, and that's great, and we respect that, and this is for like the new generation of potential Evangelion fans, and I hope that it has reached more people because of the worldwide distribution by Netflix. And I think that it has. And that's all that really matters to me. I just want more people to see the show. It's a fantastic show. And probably they're going to watch it in Japanese anyway. So, which is amazing. I mean, I watched it in Japanese. Whenever I'm working on an English dub, I watch the Japanese before I start so I can get a full understanding of the character in the world as much as I can when I'm starting to create a character. And so for me, I mean, I hold the Japanese original uh, subtitle version very close to my heart and respect the text immensely. So, and I'm sorry I get so serious when I talk about Evangelion
No,
because
it's fine.
it was such a challenging experience, and it is a really serious dark text, and I don't
Mm.
have the time apart from it yet to address it with any sort of levity or um, nonchalance. I just have only honor and respect for it at this point. It's kind of a strange thing to even talk about still because it is, to be totally frank, it's pretty fresh still. When you go through that experience and you record a show like that, it takes a while to heal, to come out of. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, and so I mean, it only just came out a year ago. We were recording it for months and months before that. And we recorded it much slower than any other anime. Pretty much. I mean, it wasn't a simuldub, right? Netflix drops everything at once. So we were really in it for months and months recording, and auditioned even before that, at the end of 2018, I think it was. So it was a really long process overall, and really kind of colored all of my year last year. And then this year it's it's still very fresh on my mind and in my heart, to be totally honest. So yeah, it was just um an unforgettable experience, and something I'll be forever grateful, and still one of my biggest honors of my life, and always will be.
Had you uh, had you been a big fan of the Neon Genesis prior to this? Because I mean, this is a like mid '90s anime show that's been around for quite some time before the Netflix show
Hmm.
came out.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to crush any hearts, but the answer is no. I didn't watch a lot of anime growing up. It is a little before my time. Definitely would have been too mature for me. Um, during the time it was coming out, or being dubbed even. Um, and I didn't watch a lot of anime growing up at all. So I am behind on some of the more historical pieces of anime history, historical pieces of history, um, and for lack of a better term. And
I recommend Vampire Hunter D if you've never seen it.
okay, I have not seen it
Oh my
either.
god,
Yeah,
it'll change
yeah,
your
yeah.
life. It's that good.
Really?
And by
Okay,
the way,
noted,
if you really want an
noted.
education, there's
Yeah.
25 freaking novels in the series that you can
Whoa.
go read.
Gosh, yeah. So when I'm on a show, I quickly become an expert of that world. And throughout, before as I watched as much of it in Japanese as I could before we started, and the studio helped me do that, help me access the episodes and the movies and everything. And that was important for my process. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely just too mature. I mean, still the thing is quite existential, so it's like, yeah, I couldn't have handled that in any previous stage of my life. And also it was sort of a word I had seen the title written many times, even in film school. I mean, it's that notable. And so I had seen the words Neon Genesis Evangelion quite a few times, in books in film school, in articles and anime blogs online, on Twitter. So it's not like I wasn't aware of it. I had seen the characters, but I didn't know what we were in for. So, quite the journey, and I probably would not have guessed that that's where it was going. So yeah, it was just a totally new thing, basically, is my answer to that.
The Neon Genesis Evangelion had such. I mean, the fan base for the thing is so big, and of course, there is the movie series
Hmm.
1.11, 2.22,
Hmm.
3.33, 4.44 is still not in the States yet.
Yeah.
But those are all basically with the original animation cast. Do you guys ever do like a giant Neon Genesis like panel together with like the old cast, the new cast, the Japanese
Um,
cast?
well, I mean, the new dub came out mid last year, where probably all of the conventions had booked their guests for the last 6 months of last year, before our cast was revealed. So and then this year all cons were canceled.
Yeah.
So the answer is no, we haven't opened to it. Yeah, but it would have, I mean, you know when that happens, I'm gonna wait till it's a really big circuit. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to come at me with some big
Oh,
guns for that. Yeah,
I didn't realize until just looking now that you also did the redub voice for Death and Rebirth and End of Evangelion. Are those
we
also on
did.
Netflix?
They're on Netflix. Yeah, those two are on Netflix
Oh
as
my
well.
god. Okay, I gotta look for those because I haven't watched those. I watched like a handful of episodes of the new redub just to get a feel for it and go, all right, this is pretty good. But I've already seen the whole show, so I didn't do a complete and utter rewatch. But Death and
Mm-hmm.
Rebirth and End of Evangelion, I've
Mm-hmm.
only seen Death and Rebirth. I have never seen End of Evangelion. Um,
You've never seen it ever?
I've seen Death and Rebirth, but I've never seen the End of Evangelion.
Oh wow. Well,
The
that's
two
kind of where
movies.
like the trauma happens.
Right. And I own the End of Evangelion on DVD.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no, you should watch it. I mean, yeah, there's a lot more of my character in that, and it's pretty dark.
Can
Very.
you give us a little bit of a little Ray, her like mousy little voice?
Sure. It's I will protect you. It's my connection to everything. There you go.
There we go. Do you think they ever do like a live action version of Evangelion? Which is funny because the
Yeah.
director, the guy who created it, made Shin's Godzilla, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, there's supposed to be a Godzilla versus Evangelion movie, but then that got scrapped
Mm-hmm.
because shared universes are all the rage, and so Japan was just like, you know what? We have the original shared universe going all the way back to the 50s. We're gonna do a
Right.
Godzilla shared universe. So
Right.
Godzilla
Right.
and Mothra and King Ghidorah, they're all gonna get their own movies, and then we're
That
gonna
would
do a
be so
giant
cool.
movie.
Right? Yeah. It's funny you say that because I do have a Evangelion times Godzilla crossover figurine
Right.
where Ray is holding a little Godzilla. So yeah, I don't know. I think Evangelion would be a challenge to do a live action version of. I would not be surprised if someday that happened because right because every that just is the way things are happening. But it's so existential and it's so psychological. Uh, but I don't know. I'd be interested to see how someone would tackle it. I mean, you know, don't knock it till you try it, I guess. There are some stories that I think really lend themselves to animation, and Evangelion is probably one of those. But who knows? I mean, I'm open to seeing I love art. I love seeing what people can come up with, and the live action adaptation has historically been sort of a hit or miss thing. Very dangerous, a lot of misses, as most people think. But you never know. I mean, I love the world of Evangelion is like I said, very precious to me. So I would give any of it a shot, obviously.
Where can people go and find you on social media if they want to send fan praise and love and accolades?
On Twitter, I'm at Ryan Bartley, RyanBartley. I have to shout out Ellie McCobb's Twitter too. Ellie McCobb is at Ellie McCobb TV on Twitter, and on Instagram, I'm Ryan Bartley, which is just the same thing but with an E and like elephant in front of my name because that someone else already took Ryan Bartley, unfortunately. And LA Macabre is LA Macabre series on Instagram. And then on Facebook, I am actor Ryan Bartley. And I think if you just type in LA Macabre on Facebook, you'll find our show as well.
Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for coming on the show. And Macabre has been an absolute treat, and your voiceover work is absolutely amazing. There's a couple
Thank
things on
you.
your IMDb I have never watched before that I definitely have to check out. Sword Art is one of them. I always kept hearing about Sword Art, and I'm just like, I'll get to it. But I'm so picky with my anime because I think anime sometimes is too dense to watch, and sometimes I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, God, I want more of this. Why can't more anime shows be like this show? You know?
Right, right,
And
right, right.
there's one I'm watching right now. I need to get volume 2 of. You ever heard of Akami Kill Kill? Akami Kill Kill?
Is that Kill la Kill?
Yes, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that.
definitely.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I
It was
I love that show, and I gotta watch
really,
volume 2. Yeah.
oh,
And
nice.
then someone
Yeah.
turned me on to like saying you like dark anime, and you like detective stuff, and I was like, sure. You have to watch Wicked City. And then me and my co-host, the one that went to Japan,
Mm-hmm.
for a podcast we did a fan commentary for this movie called Wicked City, which basically it's basically so it's mature content, but it doesn't cross a line. It basically looks at the line and goes, yeah, I'm gonna tiptoe that line in
Yeah.
certain scenes in this movie. But it's a crime noir, like detective from the human world, detective from the demon world have to team up and solve a murder, and it's very cool. He's like a drinking, chain smoking detective. She's all like, fancy in her dresses or whatever, her Dana Scully kind of suits or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But it gets into some tiptoeing adult material sometimes that you're just like,
Really
ooh, that's so raunchy, but it doesn't quite go
interesting.
there. And the anime is from Madhouse, so it's that style of animation, like
Mm-hmm,
Ninja
mm-hmm.
Scroll.
Well, you sound like you would really like Erased based on your taste,
Definitely. I
I
will
have
send
to
you a link
say.
to our fun little commentary. You can kind of listen to it before maybe watching the movie to go, okay, maybe I'll check this film out. But
Yeah.
it was like one of two things. But I highly recommend you watch Vampire Hunter D.
Vampire Hunter D. Okay, will do. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'll write it down.